Hello, everyone. This is Anonymous Addiction, the programming podcast, and I'll be your host, Bobby C. Today, we're going to be talking about deprogramming step 5, the 5th step of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, we have 12 steps, right? Which I don't like codifying anything. And I found out that you don't have to codify, you don't have to number things in order to do any type of self-analysis or any type of shadow work or inner child work or whatever word you want to use. Now, I'm reading out of the big book. You know, it's only 164 pages, but this is the Bible. This is Alcoholics Anonymous Bible. And chapter 6, if anyone knows, where's the 5th step in the big book? What's in chapter 6? That's where it starts. Page 72. Okay. And it says like halfway down, it says, let's see, this requires action on our part, which when completed will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. This brings us to the 5th step in the programming our minds of recovery mentioned in the preceding chapters. So we're going to be talking about the 5th step. Last episode, we talked about the 4th step, which is uncovering all these things about ourselves. And now in the 5th step, they want us to go to God, seeking ourselves, and go to another human being and tell them all our little dark, deep secrets. Might be a stranger, I don't know, but we're gonna get into it and see what they're talking about, because young people or anybody, you're coming out of detox, you're coming out of a rehab. You didn't do no 5th step in the rehab. You probably did 1, 2, and 3. You come out. Now you're going to get a sponsor. Did they ever mention go to your priest? Did he ever mention go to your doctor? Did he ever mention in the meetings go to your therapist? Go to your spiritual advisor? Go to a family member? No. The word sponsorship, that's what you hear. Get a sponsor. Do you have a sponsor? No, you don't have a sponsor yet. Well, how are you going to work the program if you don't have a sponsor? Find somebody. You got to get a sponsor. And if you go out and drink, it's because you didn't have a sponsor. But if you went out to drink, they're going to blame it on something, no matter what. They're going to say you didn't do the 4th step right. You didn't complete the 5th step. It'll tell you right in here. You didn't complete the 5th step. Here, right here. Oh, as I look. Let's see. If we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers, of course, have tried to keep to ourselves certain facts about their lives. Don't keep them to yourself. Trying to avoid this humbling experience, they have turned to easier, softer ways and methods, which there are. You know, shadow work is not supposed to be so fearful and so scary and so negative that you fear it and you never want to do it. Okay. If you're just coming in Alcoholics Anonymous, avoid this. This can be dangerous if done in certain ways. Not dangerous, but I guess it can. It's like shrapnel. You know, you get a little piece of shrapnel and it's like, you feel it. You feel this pain body and you're saying to yourself, let me work on that. That's how you do. You work on one little thing at a time if you can. It's going to take time. You work on one little thing at a time, expose it, and then work on it with somebody that really knows about how to approach shadow work in a healthy manner. You know, they use a lot of different words for this, what we'll be talking about. You know, when I first came in, Adult Children of Alcoholics, Codependency Anonymous, We talked about a lot of inner healing, inner child work. We talked about inner work, self-analysis. They use a lot of different words. Lower vibration, lower energy, lower self, higher self. You can say it, whatever you want. It's really unconsciousness. Okay. When was the last time you went into a meeting, AA meeting, and they talked about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind? Well, the shadow is embedded into the unconscious. Okay. And it's based in it's based in shame, a lot of shame. What did we do wrong? You know, it's based in a lot of shame. And you know what? Everybody, listen to this though. I'm not in fully disagreement with some of this. It's how it's worded. It's the language that they use, how it's presented, and the overall concept of is ancient. It's an ancient philosophy to check in and do self examination, and this is what it's all about. Step 5, if I wrote it for myself, it would be completely different than this, which I do rewrite it for myself. In here, I rewrite all this. That's what deprogramming is all about. I'm deprogramming what the program is programming me to think that that's the only way. And it's not. And so we're here to uncover some of that, you know. So like I said, time after time, the newcomer has tried to keep this to themselves. Inevitably, they got drunk. But they weren't going to get drunk anyhow, right? Because what the hell, they want to go drink. Because that's what they want to do. They want some pleasure out of life, or they want to escape, or like I did. I'm saying, when I say they, I mean me. I want to escape responsibility. There was pleasure in it. It was a break from the shit show of life. Okay. So I was chasing the break. And so it's like when they get drunk, it's like, oh, you got drunk. You relapsed because you didn't do something. You missed something. Now I got drunk because I wanted to go get drunk. Okay, I chose it, and I didn't have any of this stuff. Me personally, this is just my story, and it's there's millions of us, but there's millions of other people doing it different ways. You know, I'm just saying, when I came in Alcoholics Anonymous, I was done. I wanted to stop. I said yes to help, and somebody came in and helped me, and it was on me. I wanted it. Okay, and I still want it today, and I continued all these years along the path of, they call abstinence, alcohol free. And people will say, well, how do you still maintain? I don't maintain it. It's like I don't maintain cheating on my wife, because I just don't. Okay, I don't maintain going into porn sites because I just don't. Okay, it's like it's my lifestyle. I choose it. I don't have to maintain not drinking alcohol or using drugs. I just don't. That's my choice and my lifestyle. I don't have to do anything not to do it. It's like, what do I have to do to hurt somebody? You know, it's this addiction recovery trap is all screwed up. And there's a new world view about all this stuff. And that's what we're doing. We're uncovering and recovering and discovering new things about this addiction, which we're addicted to everything. I'm addicted to this right now. I love doing podcasts. You call me addicted? Bobby's got an addiction to podcast. Oh, he's doing another one. He better go to a rehab. Yeah. Hey, a shout out to Rainey. How you doing, Rainey, over there in Unconquered Healing? And to my buddy, Joey C, over there in the East Coast. Oh, they're both in the East Coast. One's in Florida and one's up in Jersey. But a shout out, peace to you guys. All my friends and members, peace to all of you. Here we go. Having proceeded with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell, why they failed. Well, we think, now who in the hell is we? We think. We think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. Never completed their house cleaning. Have you completed your house cleaning? Let me tell you something. I was in Alcoholics Anonymous for over 30 years. And luckily, when I was against the stream anyhow. I was involved with a lot of different things and uncovering different things about myself and about society, about the world and about the universe. So I'm lucky in that sense. And I had to leave because I was such a hypocrite. I thought I was helping people deprogram right in the rooms, very gently, but, you know, planting some seeds. And I was, you know, but it wasn't fulfilling me. It was, when I go to a meeting at the end, it was torture. You know, I'd go in late just to avoid the commercials. And my buddy, if he's listening, yeah, I avoided the commercials. I go in late on purpose to avoid all the readings. Yes. And at the end, there was no shame in that. I did it for me, to help me, protect me. Okay. People were saying, why are you saying that, Bobby? You're hurting somebody. Nah. So they're going to, that's the hook. Every time you fail, every time you relapse, every time you go drink, you did something wrong, you know, and you did something wrong in AA. You're not working the program right. You got a sponsor. You do the 4 steps, you do the 5th, 6th, and 7th. You're not closer to God. You got to get your God. You got to get to understanding your God. Matter of fact, even, you know, eventually the atheists and agnostics will get it. Keep on coming back. If you're an atheist or not, you know what I found out, ladies and gentlemen, with this step here. And like I said, overall, I'm going to get into, you know, self-analysis is where it's all at. Shadow work is where it's all at. It's you know, it's the buried unconscious that we have to bring to the consciousness, the subconscious and the unconscious to the conscious, and make aware and understanding these things that we're shamed about, integrating, you know, what we think is good and bad, integrating it into, that's who I am, you know, understanding more about myself. And they talk about forgiveness. Look, this thing's about dumping all your shit onto somebody else. How about the stuff that was done to us? The stuff that the childhood trauma that was done to children. Okay. What about them? It talks about forgiveness. No, you don't have to forgive them. Okay. The 8th and 9th is, we'll get into that 8th and 9th step where you go to the people. Now, here's another thing I want to talk about. When they say the word alcoholic, right? When they say the word alcoholic, just replace the word with some people or human beings, because we're no different. They want to use the word alcoholic over and over and over and over. My name is Bobby C. I'm alcoholic. Over and over, the brainwashing mechanisms that they try to make you believe that we are no different than any other human being on the planet. We're not, I hate to tell you. You may want to believe you are because you're told you are, but we're not. So whenever you see the word alcohol, just replace it. Like, more than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. More than most people, the human beings lead a double life. I mean, we all have secrets. We all are actors. I'm acting right now in a sense because I'll tell you, when you do a podcast, you have to be, I love doing this. So this stuff is a passion for me, okay? So I'm excited about it. When I get on a podcast, it gives me, it's a vibrational energy that I enjoy. You know, it's like if somebody wants to use a drug or something, ayahuasca or some micro dosing or whatever, I get off on this. It makes me It makes me feel good. It gives me pleasure. That's why I do it. It validates, plus what I'm doing on this, by researching and getting into all this stuff, I'm researching stuff and I'm studying stuff about myself. I'm doing shadow work as I uncover and recover and discover new things from other people. I'm still open-minded. They talk about how it works, how HOW, honest, open-minded, and willingness. No, go outside the triangle and you'll see how to be honest, open-minded, and willing. So when they say alcoholic, replace it with people, you know. Let's see, psychiatrists are inclined to agree with us. I'll tell you one thing in here. This is where sponsorship is mentioned. But the weird part about this is if you go into a meeting, that's all you hear is about sponsors, you know, over and over. But if you really get into the big book, they talk about going to other places, and I'll get into that, other avenues. And hold off on this. Don't even try to do this fourth, fifth, like real, you know, you can unload easy stuff. That's a piece of cake. And it tells you, oh, you're not doing it right if you do that. You know, that's not going to hurt anything. You go to a friend, if you have a sponsor, you know, unload a little bit of, be careful. Be careful who you go to, because once you tell your little dark secrets, good, bad, or in between, to a stranger, just be careful of that. They could use it against you. I'm not saying everybody's going to do that, but they can use it against you. Because as soon as somebody tells me, that's why I don't go on here and tell my secrets to people on YouTube. That's why I don't go on here and tell my secrets and things I know about my family and my friends. I don't devour all that. That's their business to do, you know. That's their job to do that. I don't go talking about my family, okay? Their things. That's their job to uncover it. Small wonders, many in the medical profession have a low opinion on alcoholics and their chances for recovery. What the hell was that all about? Small wonders, many in the medical profession, because we don't tell the truth. We're liars. That's what they're saying. In the medical or professional, like psychiatrists, when we go to psychiatrists, and how can we tell anything about it? Deep, dark, underlying shadow under our unconscious when we don't even know it? It's not even revealed to us yet. So how can we uncover something? Sure, we're going to be dishonest. We don't know. We don't know. We don't even know we have these things until we uncover them and bring them up one little time, once at a time, easy, you know, gently, in a loving, caring fashion, you know, because it's all about shame. Most of it's about shame and okay, they say there's no must. There's so many must in Alcoholics Anonymous. We must be entirely honest with somebody. We must be entirely honest with somebody. Whoever came up with that stuff, even, you know, Freud and all, even Jung, I don't care who it is, you know, we're going to find out that, I don't know, is it all, we got to go to somebody? You have to go to somebody? I don't think so. Really, I don't think so. And if you go to somebody, why call them a sponsor, a friend? It's going to tell, I'm going to get into that a little bit in this other book, the step book. This is the big book. Okay, isolation. They talk about isolation, apartness, being alone. There's nothing wrong with being alone. I love loneliness now. I love being by myself. I actually love taking walks by myself. I like being by myself, but I like being with crowds of people too. Like, you know, hearing different things and different conversations. I like that too. You know, say even when you go out to a restaurant with 5 people, Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It depends. But you got to interact with other human beings. And, this one doesn't want to order this one. This is ain't paying the check here. This one is doing that. This one's talking. This one's getting, so sometimes it's just nice to be one-on-one by yourself, maybe with a couple friends. I think the older you get, the more you get like that. Those of us belonging to a religious denomination, right? Denomination, which requires confession, like me. I belong to the Catholicism, Catholic Church for years and years. My mother gave me her Catholicism. I did all the rituals in the Catholic Church. And I went into a little booth. I didn't know, I didn't see him. It was a little secret. I could give my little secret to him and tell him my sins of the week or the year. Tell him the sins of my that I've done. I just tell him anything that I did wrong. It's always, what did you do wrong this week? Not what you did right. Don't go in there and telling them all the things that you did right. Just go in there and tell them all the things you did wrong. He opens up the little booth, the act of contrition. Oh, my Father, I'm heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. I can still remember the shit, but I can't remember some birthdays, but I can still remember that because they get you from what, 1 to 7, age 1 to 7, they'll get you. And forget it. We should be teaching all this stuff in preschool. What do they teach our kids in preschool? We should be teaching all this stuff in preschool. Not all this deep stuff. I'm just, talking about the programming. So I go to my religious priest. I open up the box. He relieves me of my sins, tells me to say 2 Hail Marys and 3 Our Fathers. That'll do it. And if you get more, that means your sin is even more greater. So you got to ask for forgiveness from this made up whatever in the sky. And then Sunday comes, then you can get your communion. Then you can eat the bread of the wafer and get your communion. This is what this is about. I'll tell you what, the Catholic Church is easier than this. The Catholic Church is easier than this. Definite. There's no question about it. You could fake it, Catholic Church. In the Catholic Church, you could fake it and just go to church, and it's a piece of cake. They don't even have, I never even went to a Bible study in the Catholic Church. I don't know. They don't even tell you to read did they tell you this? They might have Bible studies for the elite Catholics, but I went to a Bible study in the Christian fellowship. Now that's a different story. They're more like this. The Mormons are more like this. Scientology is more like this. The Jehovah's Witness is more like this. Baptism, Protestants, Methodists, Christians, born again Christians. Read that Bible. Get into that Bible. Get into that Bible. Get into that Bible. They can't mess up. You go to a Bible study and they can't screw up. I used to go to Bible studies because I thought I was missing something. I thought, holy shit, screw the Catholic Church because they're not really into it. I got to go to a Christian fellowship. And I did this a bunch of times. And I go to a Bible study. And I'd be sitting in a Bible study trying to deprogram them in a Bible study. Is that the shit? I'm not kidding you. I would have, in my head, I'm saying, what a crock of shit. Do these people believe that? I'd be interpreting it completely different than the way they are. I went there and did that and did a circle jerk, just like the 12 steps are a circle jerk, for a while until I felt so damn guilty. And, what the hell, Bobby? You don't have it. They got it. You don't have it. The church has it. The religions have it. You don't have it. The big book has it. The step book has it. And if you don't go get God, you ain't got it. So, and then of course, we will go to the proper appointed authority. Of course, we're going to go to the proper appointed authority. Authority. Confession must. And of course, we want to go to the proper appointed authority, like our sponsors. Make sure you go to your proper appointed authority, your sponsor. I've been to so many darn, I had a couple sponsors, three sponsors, 4 sponsors. I never heard them talk about the conscious, the subconscious, the unconscious, shadow work, any of that stuff. You always got to go outside the program to discover stuff. And then you come back into the program and give the program credit for all the stuff you discovered outside. Okay, here we go with the ordained by an established religion. It's got to be established religion. Like the Catholic Church is how old, right? I've been to the Vatican. I see the established church. I've been to the Vatican. The millions and billions and the money that's in there is unbelievable. It's its own entity. It's its own government. It's its own authority. The Catholic Church. Okay, I think it's the richest. The Catholic Church is the second biggest landowner of the world. The Queen is the first, and the Catholic Church is second biggest landowner of the world in the world. Okay. If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintance for a closed-mouth, understanding friend. Closed-mouth, understanding friend. Perhaps our doctor. You could see you going to your doctor and telling him this stuff. Or psychiatrist. Well, yeah, you can go to a psychiatrist. Then they'll prescribe you some medication, but that's okay if you need it. I'm not saying it. Psychiatrists are there for all the psychologists and all the people underneath them. The psychiatrist is the doctor, and you have to be underneath the psychiatrist to be able to do your work of helping somebody uncover these deep traumatized shadow work. What I did was I went to a priest because I didn't trust nobody. And my first sponsor wasn't a sponsor, he was my friend. And he didn't ask me to do any of the steps. He didn't even do any of the steps himself and was staying sober, okay, clean and sober, because he was considered, you could consider him, which I don't use the word, but I'll use it, alcoholic and drug addict, and he stayed clean, clean and sober. Those words too, I'm using them, but please forgive me. I'm asking forgiveness. He came and he was a friend. He wasn't doing none of that stuff. He didn't want any of it anyhow. I went to a priest. I think I said this in another podcast. I went to a priest. I told him some stuff and he said, yeah, keep on telling more people. The reason why, the more people you tell, the less it feels a burden, the less it's a burden on you, the less it's almost letting out the energy, the negative energy. It's almost just letting it out and being validated that it's okay. That's what it's about. It's okay, to have validation, but be careful who you go to. Even if you need to go to somebody, be careful how you do it. Check it out, take your time, be patient. And he said, God, go tell somebody else. And after all, this guy was a priest. And sooner or later, because he was doing ACOA with all the women and all the meetings at the churches, he took his collar off and he started to start the new beginning over in Jersey. And he became a big guru, with all this stuff. And I would probably, I'll tell you the truth, if I had to do some work, it would be with him, because I trust him. I trust the man. And I done one-on-one therapy, helped me tremendously to uncover some things about myself, my insecurities and different stuff. I used to wear, I'm bald now. I love it. This is in style, man. This is cool. You know what I mean? But when I was young, I was losing my hair at a young age. And I used to do comb overs. Everybody that knew me I did comb overs. And one time I wore a hairpiece. Yeah, I had to hide who I was. I had to be underneath a hairpiece because I didn't want anyone to see the true self, the true me. I went to therapy, and this guy Len, I don't know if he's still around, but shit, he helped me, man. I went on one-on-one in the beginning. First, I did one-on-one with somebody else, and I went into a woman's group. And a woman had this group, and she was a therapist. She was great. I loved her. And the group of people were men and women, and they were teaching me things because I was they were seeing in me things that I couldn't see in myself, and they were pointing them out, pushing some buttons, which was very good. And then I went into a groups, like Len had a group, and that's where I met a bunch of people in there. And then from there, I did a bunch. I used to run groups. Okay, I started many meetings and ran many groups in psychiatric, in hospitals and rehabs and different. I'm not trying to make myself like I'm this. I went to Institute of Healing Arts, Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and studied psychoneuroimmunology and learned different things. I was always expanding. And while I was expanding, I was discovering some things in my nature that was down there that I had to bring up, And from there, I went to school. Did some college. I got, a license in real estate, and I became a broker in real estate. Way before that, I had catering. I had a big catering business in Jersey. I did a lot of different things. But you know what? Uncovering myself, and really for me, taking a break. Well, I took a long break because I never went back, but taking a break from alcohol, drugs, and learning more mindful things. And I'm not, hey, harm reduction, if you're into harm reduction, the Sinclair method, I don't care what method you are, if you're maintaining through moderation management, or you're doing medical assisted treatment, whatever you're doing, that's on you. Even if you're in Alcoholics Anonymous, whatever you're doing, that's good. I just hope you change a little bit, grow, move out, expand, because change is inevitable. You cannot not change. It's impossible. Go look at a picture of me 40 years ago, okay? It's impossible not to change. Even our they call them character defects, 7 deadly sins, all that bullshit. We grow because sometimes not growing is painful. So we age, mature, and grow. And a lot of people that they call alcoholics or call addicts are just going through a phase, and they quit on, most of the people quit on their own, or they use recreationally, and they dib and dab in it for pleasure. For me, I don't need it because I get pleasure out of doing other things, and I don't need to get whatever you want to call it. I don't need to get high on a drug or a booze or whatever. I get high when I'm high on doing this right now. Okay, that's hitting some endorphins, I guess. It's maybe contributing some of the neuro receptors in my brain and stimulating a lot of stuff and giving me a purpose, and the energy's flowing and my attention's going. Wherever your attention goes, the energy flows. I was focused on this. I did some research on it. I was excited about it. I enjoy it. It's cool. You want to call whatever you want. You call it, I'm high. Okay. Whatever you want to call it. Here it goes. Our parents, which will hurt them and make them unhappy, we have the right to save our own skin, hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. We're hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. Don't tell. Okay. Closed mouth. Let's see. Here's another must. Talking about no must. but we must not use this as a mere escape to postpone whatever that was all about, life or death era. Here it is again. He should realize that we are engaged upon a life and death errand. That's in the big book. That's on page 75. We are engaged upon a life and death errand. Most people approach this in a way we are glad to help. They will be honored by our confidence. It's all about fear, guilt, shame. Instead of releasing the shame, you're getting more shame. You're getting dumped on more. You're actually, they talk about forgiveness in this, when really they don't talk much about what others did to us, okay? Because we're supposed to let that out of our consciousness, our mind. Forget about what they did to you. Don't mean nothing. And it does mean a lot. We pocket our pride and go for it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Like we have the ability to do that. We do have the ability to do that, but we're just coming in. We're coming out of a detox, a rehab, or our parents sent us, the court sent us, and they want us to do this. And then they're getting you to believe that you're alcoholic, you've got this disease, you're powerless, and you got to give your will and your life over to the care of Alcoholics Anonymous and God. And if you don't, you're surely going to go to hell or die or go insane or go to jail. It always talks about our Creator. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We have the spiritual experience. We thank God for the bottom of our heart that we know God better. This is only, okay. And this is in the big book, right? Self-delusion about society. They don't talk about society. Embarrassment. Where did I see that? Maybe it's in the other, maybe it's in this book. I'm going to go to that. And then it gets over to 6 and 7 is only 6 and 7 is 2 paragraphs. 8 is 1 line, and 9 is a couple pages. 9, 8, 9. But 6 and 7 is a couple paragraphs, but it's big in the step book. Ooh, because it's all God, you know. Are we now ready to let God remove all these defects of character? Or let him do it? And then if we cling to something we will not let go, we ask God to be help for our willingness. And then my Creator, then the 7th step is, I'll get into that before, but it's all God. You know, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, they're all God. Everything is really, you know, we'll get into all the God steps. I can eliminate all of them, you know, and you'll be fine doing shadow work. Let's get into the step book a little bit. It's not deep. This is just unreal some other things. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to cut me off now, cut me off. If you're done listening, that's great. But don't forget to subscribe to Anonymous Addiction Deprogramming Podcast. Like us if you do, thumbs up, comment, get some notifications that new ones are coming up, and check out Anonymous Addiction, My Truth About AA as Bobby C. Sees It private group on Facebook. And comment. I want people to post things and post some new different ideas and different things and grievances and what you found out was new and different types of modalities and different types of beliefs and quantum physics and vibrational energy and perceptual shifts and natural law, and talk about all the things that you're discovering, you know, because this podcast is about discovering not just deprogramming from AA, but deprogramming from societal brainwashing, the government, the Hollywood, the religions, the politicians, everything. This program's about this discovering new things about the universe and about ourselves, especially. You know, we got to change each mind, one mind at a time. You know, it takes changing of the mind and our beliefs and understanding the power that we possess. Authority is a lie. Who made all these rules and regulations and all these step books, and why they made them, why they created, who created the program, who, why, how? It's just like who and why created all the educational system. Who gave them the authority for us to send out all the propaganda, indoctrinate us into what they want us to believe is true? Go outside and discover some new ideas and new truths. That's what I think I'm trying to do. There we go. I could tell as many people as I want. Here's the thing with shadow work. You can tell as many people as you want, but if you don't get past, if you like, we're talking about self-love here. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about unwiring and rewiring your brain. We're talking about when they use different words and different phrases like former self, higher self, lower self, lower vibration, lower energy. You can even study all the chakras, the 7 chakras, that's an energy, they're energy fields. You can study Deepak Chopra. I don't care if you're going to Eckhart Tolle to Power Now, because when we're dealing with the past and the now and the future, it's linear. It's this way because it's always now. Because when we're thinking of the past, we're thinking of it now. When we're projecting into the future, we're projecting and thinking of it now. So how does the past affect us? How does our perception of the future affect us now? It affects us. And we have to uncover why. That's why I like the people to study the brain, study the mind, study the conscious, subconscious, unconscious, study osmosis and subliminal. How do they give subliminal messages out, and how people program us? Study ourselves and uncover the truth about yourself and the universe and the world. Yeah, they use a lot of inner child work because I found out years and years and years, I lacked coping skills that I wasn't given. And I don't blame my mother or father. Matter of fact, my father taught me many things. My mother is 101, still living. 101, still living. She just got put into a nursing home like 8 months ago. Celebrated her 101st birthday, January 28th. She had COVID last year, survived with the COVID. She survived it. Just to give you some background. So, yeah, shadow work, inner work, call it whatever you want to call it. There's no right and wrong way to do it. Getting back to this here step book. Okay. What we're trying to do is integrate. They use the word integrate the stuff that's underneath, integrate it into our consciousness and make it awareness and be okay with it. I think it's all about accepting ourselves. It's not about forgiving others and accepting other people's behavior. It's accepting, it's looking back and accept, I'm not the person, I'm not the past self. I have to forgive myself. What am I doing today? People love to use the past against you. They love it. It gives them power. And I'll tell you what, I still get my pain body and my buttons pushed when they do use the past against me. Long time sobriety and peace, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 5, admitted to God. And here they tell you don't go to God, because you're going to fool yourself in the beginning. It says even the smartest spiritual leaders go to somebody else that's smarter than them spiritually, more spiritual than them. Now, who's more spiritual than them, you know? Let's see here. One, remain secret. Oh, remain our secrets. These will remain our secrets. Not a soul must ever know them. This is what we say to ourselves. We don't even know we have some secrets we do know, okay? And some secrets, be careful. You tell somebody, they may just, you may get somebody to come knocking on your door. So be careful for that. Watch out for the stuff that you reveal to somebody, because you don't want to lose your job, your family, your wife. You don't want to be put in jail. So be careful of that stuff, okay? Be careful. Secrets. When somebody tells the story, this is another good thing about revealing to another human being. You get a stranger, you're around a campsite, and they're telling you you're doing the fifth step, fourth and fifth step with some strangers, which is probably better to do it with a stranger, and they're telling you all kinds of shit. They're telling you stuff that'll blow your mind, what they did, okay? And you're telling them these little secrets and saying to yourself, holy shit, I thought I was this crazy. I thought I was this crazy. He or she or whatever, them or they did more than I did. Wow, that makes me feel so much better, And here they are, they're just telling it like it's nothing. That's okay. And it makes us feel better. And then they go to somebody else with a worse story and it makes them feel better. But guess what? If you don't cleanse and accept self-love and acceptance of yourself, it just comes back because it's a memory trace. It's in here. It's a computer. That'll come back, but when it comes back, you can let it go. See, they don't teach you the real meaning of letting go. So when you're doing shadow work and you're doing love, self-love, you're learning to let this old, irrational, unhealthy brain stream, this mind stream of the past, you learn how to let it go quick. You let it come in and let it go quick, because it's a computer. We've got the best computers in the universe. I mean, as far as we know so far in the universe. So some people aren't able to stay sober at all. Others will relapse periodically until they really clean house. See, now you're in the step book. You're in the step book now, okay? Then we go to just replace the word with alcoholic, isolation, looking for forgiveness. We must forgive ourselves, okay? Sponsors, we'll talk about sponsors. Here's where they start talking about sponsor in here, okay? Self-delusion, embarrassment, here we go. This practice is very ancient, and it is ancient. All this stuff from Alcoholics Anonymous have been borrowed. It was borrowed. I'm borrowing most of the stuff. Consciousness is like in the ether. It's all over. So I'm borrowing stuff, and I'm creating my own stuff too. I'm expanding on what I've learned already, expanding it and trying to evolve. And the whole thing is evolution. It's about evolving, or consciousness evolving and expanding, becoming aware, becoming the observer. If you want to get real into meditation, you want to lose the mind stream for a while, go for a nice little walk and just observe. Don't even name, just observe. Listen to the sounds. Look at the trees, and especially in the spring, as the trees, me and my wife were walking yesterday and looking at all the little flowers and the leaves coming. Just look at the trees and the green, how green it is, and the birds singing and the flowers blooming in different colors. That's trippy, man. I don't need the microdose. I'm telling you, man. I don't need the microdose. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying I don't need to. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not saying you can't go into a deeper consciousness by microdosing or doing mushrooms or whatever you want to do. I'm not saying any of that. Okay? I'm talking about me, myself, and I. There we go. It's ancient. all spiritual, centered, and truly religious people. But today, religion is by no means the sole advocate of this saving principle. Psychiatrists and psychologists point out the deep need every human being has for practical insight and knowledge of his own personal flaws, and for the discussion of them with an understanding and trustworthy person. We all understand that. I mean, if you don't understand that yet, you will, or you may not. You may die not even caring, giving a shit about it, and that's okay too. Because if you believe in reincarnation, you're going to come back and try some other shit, maybe evolve even greater. I don't know if there is or not. I'm not saying there is, but who knows? I don't know. Well, how can I say no? Spiritual, let's see. Here we go. They say it again. So far as alcoholics are concerned, let's just say people. So far as people are concerned, AA would go even further. Most of us would declare that without a fearless admission of our defects to another human being, we could not stay sober at all. And these are in a step book. It seems plain that the grace of God, the grace of God will not enter and expel our destructive obsession until we are willing to try this. I hate to tell you, but when you went into detox and came out, you weren't using or abusing, you weren't drinking or drugging. So it seems like the obsession was lifted right then. You go into a rehab, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're not drinking or drugging. So where's this obsession coming at? Where's this relief of God's grace coming into expel our destructive obsession? There we go. Here's another thing. Almost without exception, alcoholics are tortured by loneliness. Now listen, replace it with people. Almost always, without exception, people are tortured by loneliness. Some people are tortured by loneliness. You think you got to be an alcoholic to be tortured by loneliness? I don't even know if that's a thing, but I guess they say it is. I don't know. Whatever you say in here, you believe it. But just replace the word alcoholic. Hey, you'll be surprised when you start doing that. When we reach AA for the first time in our lives, stood among people who seemed to understand and the sense of belonging was tremendously exciting. And it was. Here we go. I go from a Catholic religion who was boring, and they're sitting and praying, they're standing and kneeling and praying and doing all these rituals, and they're boring. I thought they're boring. They don't drink, they don't smoke, they're religious. And I'm going to go to Alcoholics Anonymous and see all the dopers and alkies and prostitutes and people that are crazy and did some crazy shit and funny and excited and characters like myself. Okay, I'm going to go in there. When I first went in, I was smoking like a thing, drinking my coffee, smoking right at the meetings, because we used to smoke at the meetings, ashtray. We had to clean ashtrays. That was our service work, to clean our ashtrays. And I loved it. I would fit in, man. It was cool. It was a lot cooler than church. It was a lot cooler than church. And they were talking shit. They were telling stories, and they were up. It was cool, you know? Until you find out that shit, you're amongst everybody exact same and all these stories. And it's like, what the hell? It's almost like, damn, hearing the more stories. I didn't do that. Wow, maybe I better go out and do it, because my story ain't good enough. Let me go out and try some more drinking or drugging, habitual problematic drinking or drugging, because I don't believe in the disease concept. I do not believe in the words addict, clean, sober, and all this other addiction recovery industry, multi-trillion-dollar business. That's what we're doing. We're deprogramming. I'm going on, man. This is, damn, when's this going to end? They're saying. You can stop it and come back anytime you want. Listen to half of it and then listen to another. I got to cut it off pretty soon, because Zoom only lets me do a certain time. Once in a while, working on this step with our sponsors, that we first felt truly able to forgive others, no matter how deeply we felt they had wronged us. You're dealing with this sponsor. You got trauma from childhood, and you're going to learn from your sponsor to forgive others. Forgiveness. Yeah. And then they talk about always talk about our defects: humiliation, humility, deficiencies, lack of honesty, humility, our defects, over and over again. As we soon find that we could not wish or will them away by ourselves. Now, God will. As self-delusion. We think as we took inventory, we began to suspect how much trouble self-delusion. We're always in self-delusion, self-delusion. And here we go. Listen to this. If all our lives we had more or less fooled ourselves, we're fools. Weren't still self-deceiving. We're self-deceiving. And here we go again with the sponsor. Well, hence it was most evident that a solitary self-appraisal and the omission of our defects based upon that alone wouldn't be nearly enough. Solitary self-appraisal. That's what shadow. There's no other way to do this but by yourself, really. I mean, eventually, that's how it happens. Eventually, you don't need outside validation. The help of God and another human being. Going to God alone won't work. Now they're talking, you're going alone, it won't work in the beginning. Okay? Because you're going to be in self-delusion. Because why can't we go directly to God? Well, God by himself or twofold? No. Because start to realize that God knows all about us already. Okay? We're apt to get used to that quite quickly. Somehow being alone with God doesn't seem as embarrassing. So really, you want to embarrass yourself and put more shame onto yourself. That'll help you. God doesn't seem as embarrassing as facing up to another human person. Damn right it doesn't. I used to hear this in meetings all the time, message from God. Yeah, I used to hear it all the time. Oh, I get messages from God. God told me I do God's will. God, because they went beyond this and they can go directly to God because God answers them directly. They got a direct link. I don't, maybe you don't, but some people have a direct link to God. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they got the direct. That's me going back to cognitive dissonance. They got the direct link. I don't. They're better. I'm worse. Thinking. That's the thinking. And I'm not blaming the people. I'm not trying to shame anyone else into what they believe, what they're believing. I don't mean to do that. I don't want to even do that. Okay. Another person, it confines them, and we must be honest with ourselves and with God. Our own rationalization and wistful thinking. That's why we can't go to God, because his direct comments and counsel of our situation, we might misinterpret it. Going it alone in spiritual matters is dangerous. Going it alone in spiritual matters is dangerous. How many times have we heard well-intentioned people claim the guidance of God when it was all too plain that it was solely mistaken? Lacking both practice and humility, they had deluded themselves and were able to justify the most irate nonsense on the grounds that this was what God told them to do. So when do you actually, man, that's kind of cool. When do you actually know that God is speaking directly to you? When I say God, I mean myself. Okay, the higher self. The former self, the higher self, higher consciousness, awareness. You use the word God like it's separate as some other entity. When I say God, I'm saying I'm talking to myself. Okay, the self-talk. Is that self-talk? You're God? While the comments and advice of others may be no means infallible, but likely is far more specific, direct guidance we may receive while we are still so inexperienced in establishing contact with a power greater than ourselves. See, we're inexperienced establishing and developing this contact with a power greater than ourselves, which a power greater than myself is my higher self. And I think that my higher energy, my higher vibration, I believe in, I'm powerful. So that's the powerful part of me. All right. Who not only has stayed dry, but has been able to surmount other serious. Okay, here we go again with the sponsor. This person may turn out to be one sponsor, but not necessarily. It may be, besides, your sponsor already has the advantage of knowing something about your case, like they're caseworkers. My sponsor already knows me, and he or she already knows a lot about my case history, my history. So that means I'm already telling them, I'm already doing a fourth and fifth with them. But they're saying they already know, right? So in other words, look, I'm not saying this in any, but we're getting most of this stuff from men, white men that want to be priest sponsors, and ladies too. Okay, but the hierarchy. Here's like I said, there's some things that this, if I rewrite this whole thing in my own language, in my own words, and just listen to some YouTube channels about shadow work and do my own self-analysis, which that's what we have to do anyhow. This says you can go to a clergyman or your doctor. I don't get that. You go to your doctor and do a fifth step. I don't know. Or even a complete stranger. Sometimes that's probably the coolest thing you're going to unload, and that can come natural. Okay, you're sitting, like I said, you're sitting around a campfire, you're sitting around people one-on-one. You met this stranger, just came in from LA, and you don't even know him, and you're walking and maybe going to lunch, and he's telling you some shit. He's got to be on the same conscious level to be able to do that anyhow. Who are you going to go into a bar? Are you going to go to in a setting and try to do this with anybody? They say you're crazy. I ain't telling you nothing, because you better be careful who you trust. The real test of the situation are a willingness to confide and your full confidence in the one person. Yeah, you do need confidence in that. Okay, this is the last page. Many AAs, once agnostic or atheist, okay, stay tuned, atheist or agnostic, tell us that it was during this stage of step 5 that it's always about he. I don't even think they have she in here. When I'm talking about white men wrote this shit, Dr. Bob, Bill Silkworth, all the old dudes back then, they're telling us what to do. Agnostic or atheist tell us that it was during this stage of step 5 that he first actually felt the presence of God. You just got converted. 5th step, you were an atheist, you were agnostic, no more. You're born again, my man. And I believe in being born again in the sense that when I level my consciousness and the unconscious becomes more conscious and I come be more aware, it's born. There's a new birth to that, all that. You can say I was born again or born again. I don't care what you say about that. Even though I don't like to use it, because as soon as you say you're born again. And then they're going to stop there and say, at step that he first actually felt the presence of God. And even those who had faith already often becomes conscious of God as they never been before. The feeling of being at one with God. God, God, God. You think the Catholic religion is hard? Wait till you get into AA and try to do the steps. Be careful, ladies and gentlemen, like I'm saying. Check out shadow work. Check out the shadow work. Check out the, the little deep closet in the unconscious psyche, because we're talking about our psyche. And take your time with it. Be careful. Be gentle with yourself. Be loving. Make sure if you want to do it with somebody, make sure they're loving, understanding. Go check out some sites on YouTube. There's some real good sites to help you get started. You help you do some journal work, writing, invite you to some conversation with yourself. And you're going to enjoy it. Make it fun. It doesn't have to be painful. It's integrating the negative and positive. It's showing the negative, and then you're seeing the positive. It's like recreating the irrational to the rational, to the loving and caring part of all this. And your sponsor, just be careful. They have no training. Maybe they do. Maybe he's a therapist and stuff like that, or she. Okay, check them out. If they're not, they may do a little more harm than good. So be careful of that, I probably missed a bunch of stuff, but no big deal. There's a lot on shadow work. So check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Peace be with you. And a shout out to everybody out there. Please subscribe. Check me out with the next podcast. I don't know what I'm going to title this. It's going to be a surprise. But check out Deprogramming Step 6 on our next podcast. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.